Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 WCS replay cast. And I just want to say I'm very excited for this one. This should be what should be a fantastic... Okay, let's just back up a second. This should be what should be a fantastic ZvT. The words make no sense, but the statement does. We've got ourselves what should be the makings of a fantastic Terran versus Zerg match here. Your host, LaughNgamez, I'm gonna be joining you for this journey, which should be just such a good TVZ series we're about to have. And when a series is getting hyped up this much, you can generally say it's probably got one man in it, spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map. It's Serral. Playing for Team Ents. Easy for Ents is his catchphrase there, or I guess his team's catchphrase, but definitely makes it look easy at times when he's playing the game. And of course, we gotta have a Terran. If it's a Terran versus Zerg, spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we've got Mouse Esports HeroMarine. HeroMarine, a fantastic Terran player. I mean, I think it's safe to say at this point that there's no doubt in the world that HeroMarine is he's the best foreign Terran player. Okay, he's the best European Terran player. That's what I meant to say, really. I mean, there's other really good Terrans out there, like, say, for example, Special, he's a very good foreigner. Time, a very good foreigner. They're in different regions, though, to say. So, as far as best European Terran, I mean, it was kind of like a toss-up between HeroMarine and Uthermal for a time. But HeroMarine, he's had the results consistently to back it up, whereas Uthermal hasn't quite. Now, as far as this match goes, though, while HeroMarine is a fantastic Terran, it's going to be a mountain he's got to climb here. And that mountain's name happens to be Serral. And Serral is just the best Zerg player in the world. Now, his ZvZ is fantastic. It's incredible. His ZvP is god tier, and then his ZvT, pretty darn good, too. And, that's the one thing that I'm curious to see what HeroMarine's going to be able to do. I mean, I think if you just play Standard versus Serral, like, if you go for an attack hoping to get damage done versus this Zerg, it's just not going to happen usually. Now, in goes HeroMarine. He's looking to try and get a Ling, but Serral, good micro so far. Could lose a Ling there. HeroMarine gets one of them. I'm going to poke on it until that Queen pops out. Might try and get a drone. Oh, he's tempted by fate to try and get one of Serral's drones, but of course, it's one of Serral's drones there, so not going to be able to get it. Confirmed to third base. Pretty usual stuff going on here. And, yeah. So, I mean, I can talk about these players all day long. We'll just have to sit back and watch the match. I mean, I think the point in the TVZ, which Serral has any weaknesses, is potentially the late game, because we know he's perfect at, or I can't say perfect. I mean, because I refuse to say perfect about any StarCraft 2 player, because you can always improve. But I'll say he's pretty darn good in the sense that his mid game, it's just fantastic. His early game, he's fantastic in that sense. He very rarely gets caught off guard and dies to something that's like, well, shouldn't have let that happen. No, it's always it's very rarely that he dies to something like that. In the late game though, versus Terrans, I mean, he has been pushed to the brink at times from fantastic Terran players. And maybe HeroMarine's going to be able to do it. Looks like right out the gate, we're going to be seeing a Battlecruiser rush coming out of the Terran. HeroMarine going to try and just deliver some good old BC pain onto Serral, who, by the way, is just using these speed overlords perfectly and just flying all over HeroMarine's base. For those of you unaware, an overlord with speed pretty much shouldn't die to anything, really. I mean, a Viking or a Battlecruiser or some Marines can occasionally kill them, but in the hands of a good player like Serral, an Overlord will just should very rarely die, because they're just always moving when they got the speed, and once they get going, they're pretty darn quick. 2.63. I'm just curious here, checking 2.63 versus 3.85. So yeah, the Viking is a little bit quicker, but of course it just paused to shoot. And look at that, Serral. He's like, yeah, this Overlord's gonna die. I'm just gonna drive him back on in there, because he knew there was no escape, and that's something that indicates a very smart player. Some players would just try and run away, even though it's futile. Now, we take a look here. The Battlecruisers have been spotted, that fusion core identified. Serral just getting up a Roach Warrant to defend versus any potential mass Hellbats or anything like that. For now, though, just using his Queens, getting up drones. Probably wants to make a few more Queens, and then eventually, right as it's coming close to BC time, he'll throw up a lot of Spore Crawlers. And holy cow, ladies and gentlemen, by the way, I just want to preface this video. I mean, I say preface. I started talking in this cast, and I haven't stopped, and it's been like 5 minutes straight. Probably because it's a Serral TVZ game and that there's a lot to talk about. However, I do want to preface this video with saying that there is indeed tweaked audio settings on this video. I mean, I've messed around with my settings a bit. I've been streaming a bit on Twitch a little bit more, just the past few days. Probably for the next week or two I will. I'm trying to get ready for a LAN tournament. For the fun of it, just a little experiment, see where I can get going after playing and committing a bit of time again. So I'm excited to do that, but I did tweak my audio settings a little bit for the stream, basically just because my keyboard is pretty loud. Some of you guys mentioned it in videos and stuff, so I've tweaked it a little bit. Hopefully my keyboard's not as loud and whatnot, and yeah. Basically, just thought I'd preface that in case I'm a little bit quieter than usual. Of course, audio feedback always welcome in the video description or in the comments. We take a look at this. HeroMarine trying to poke on in with Hellions, testing the Zerg waters. Serral, though, Ling's Roaches in position, perfectly able to defend. The Battlecruiser not finding anything. And, yeah. So, that is indeed the case. But this should be a fantastic best of 5 here. I mean, we've got HeroMarine. He's opened up with a BC. He's just macroing up, going to be playing mech, and mech definitely better than it was since there's been the Infestor nerfs, which is a very, very important nerf. Infested Terran not just slaughtering absolutely everything in the skies. I mean, they're still pretty good, but Terrans who are already meching might feel a little bit more freedom these days. Serral always trying to get Ling run-bys, but HeroMarine on point defending there. Meanwhile, the BC just hanging out, just driving around. He's got teleport again, though, so he's going to be able to teleport away. Oh, you got to be careful with that, though, HeroMarine. Pay attention. Okay, he just blinks on out. He's like, right, don't want to lose that. I lost Battlecruiser today while streaming. Twitch.tv/LaughNgamez, by the way. Aiming for 2 more follows. That's the goal. Yeah. I lost to BC earlier today, and I'm still hurting from it, man. Like, Battlecruiser's very, very expensive units for the Terran. I mean, it costs as much as a command center. So, it costs as much plus gas. So, very, very expensive unit. HeroMarine, though, he's just macroing up, powering up, getting up double armory, making BCs still, but then also making some Cyclones. So, it looks like this is going to be mainly BC, Hellion, Cyclone for now. Eventually, we could see, like, tanks and such come out after this, but the real question is, how many BCs is this Terran going to build? He's trying to get out another nice contaminate, though, by Serral, and he will follow it up with the factory, so probably he's going to be abandoning the BCs around the 3 mark. That's usually how many Battlecruisers you get as a Terran, and that's because it's the awkward amount for Zerg to deal with. And you might be like, awkward amount? What does that mean? LaughNgamez. Well, let me tell you, the awkward amount of BCs is basically that Queens can't really deal with 3 Battlecruisers because they're so tanky, they put up so much damage. And then, of course, it's a pain for Zerg to make enough Corruptors to deal with them. And you might be like, well, Corruptors are just good versus BCs. Yes. However, you need like you need a certain ratio of Corruptors to take on BCs. 1 BC can, or 3 BCs basically, they can kill, like, they can do quite alright versus 10 Corruptors, or say 8 Corruptors. You really got to get a set amount. And if the Terran just stops at 3, it makes it awkward for the Zerg to build that many Corruptors, and then for them not really to have a lot of other purposes. As the BCs will just keep poking on in. We take a look at this right now. Serral's at 9 Corruptors. He's had to make a few more after losing some, and he's only got 6 right here, right now. But you really got to be prepared for that. And because, like, the BCs will just keep you monitoring with you. You gotta keep making them. It's awkward. It's a pain for the Zerg. If the Terran controls well, they'll never lose a BC. The Zerg's probably not going to want to make Infestors super quickly because it is, after all, just 3 BCs. Meanwhile, though, we are seeing Serral trying to set to work on this mech Terran. Going to be dropping Nydus all over the place apparently, and that's a very good move from the Zerg. While this is going on, though, we take a look. Roaches and Ravagers coming in. There's simply too much Terran on the ground here. Serral just playing the more mobile composition for the time being, in a sense. Oh, actually gets a very nice catch there. HeroMarine misrallied some of his units. I mean, he's still got himself a very, very serious army out, though. But then we take a look at this. More and more Nydus is just going to be getting called on in. For those of you unaware, Nydus is pretty darn cheap in this day and age, and that's to say the least. 50 minerals and 50 gas at this point in the game is not a lot. We're seeing Serral just call calling Nydus after Nydus, that's one of the things that makes this guy really annoying. He very rarely gets pulled apart. You will not be able to pull Serral apart in a game of Starcraft 2 because you will be falling apart yourself. You try and hit him in multiple places, but he's gonna hold up better than you. He's like stone. You're just not gonna whittle him down, or easily anyway, and he's just so quick. Now, while we take a look, HeroMarine, he's trying to shut down these Nydus worms, but as a Terran, it doesn't even really feel good killing them. You're like, oh great, the Zerg is gonna call in another 50 minerals and gas a second later. The swarm host, they do pop out, but they're heading back on in. Although, will they pop out again? Yeah, they're unloading back home from the seam of it. So, Serral, not going to be doing too much more of this harassment. Calls in a Nydus just right in the front of HeroMarine. That just goes to show how cheap they really are. And I mean, it can be a ton of Nyduses from the Zerg player just trying to pull the Terran apart. I mean, you've got the swarm host, you may as well use them. If they kill like 1 or 2 units, that justifies the Nydus. And you really shouldn't use the swarm host as long as you've got the Nydus just to pop in and out of. HeroMarine's doing a good job poking all over the place, but then we take a look at this. Oh no! Battlecruisers get caught by fungal growth, and oh man, Serral did make some infestors. Loses, or manages to catch one of HeroMarine's BCs, which definitely hurts the Terran. I mean, he was planning on keeping those alive a little bit longer. I mean, maybe not expecting infestors to be just right there. I mean, HeroMarine, he did get off 2 Yamato cannons, though. He picked off 2 infestors, so, I mean, you get some returns on it. Now, we take a look at this. In come the Locust once again for the Zerg player. These missile turrets, they're going to basically just buy time. Pick off a couple of the Locusts before they really land, but HeroMarine will lose some structures to these Locusts. They put out so much damage. Meanwhile, a skirmish went down on the front line. So Serral's Grand Army isn't something too formidable yet. That's because he's got things like Swarm Host supply. He is making up 10 Broodlords right now, making some use of all those Corruptors he had to invest in. And eventually those will require a different sort of response from the Terran. For now, though, they're not in the fight just yet. HeroMarine maybe wants to keep pushing, but once those Broodlords are out, Serral should be able to dislodge this Terran. HeroMarine is going for the attack. Protoba's being dropped all over the place. There is Battlecruisers in the sky, and suddenly Serral doesn't really have enough anti-air to deal with the BCs. I mean, he's going to have to use infestors or queens or something. Looks like the Broodlords, so should be able to push this Terran back, it would seem. HeroMarine, though, still on 4 bases. Probably wants to invest in another command center or 2 if he can make that happen. For now, though, his army has been dislodged. He's lost a lot of supply. One of the BCs goes down, the other teleports out. There's just one lucky Battlecruiser survivor for now, up to 17 kills, showing his value. But then we take a look at this, and I mean, this is looking pretty good for Serral. Kind of tough for HeroMarine right now. I mean, the Nydus is still going to be all over the map, so you got to be wary of those as HeroMarine. Looks like the Cyclones and Hellions do actually catch the Swarm Host, which is pretty nice for him. So pick off a few of those. The Locusts trying to defend each other. Lings coming on in. I mean, these are Blue Flame Hellions, though, so they should be able to shut that down. Meanwhile, HeroMarine shutting down Nyduses to the north. He's going to shut down another. Eventually, he's going to scan and kill the Ling. That's one of the coolest things that we've seen from Zerg players. This little burrowed Ling gives enough vision for a Nydus worm, which is fantastic for the Zerg player, as it's going to force the Terran to use a scan if they ever clue into the fact that it was actually a burrowed Ling or anything like that. We do see HeroMarine doing a good job, though, picking off some of the Swarm Hosts there. It's not all the Swarm Hosts. Serral actually threw those away. I'm not sure whether that was intentional or not. Either way, this game is progressing. We're 13 minutes in. HeroMarine trying to secure himself a 5th base right now. He's done a very good job so far of shutting down the harassment of the Zerg. Meanwhile, we look at this Cyclone coming in and locking onto an infestor, getting a pick off there. Got to be careful not to lose these units for free, but oh, look at this. Locking onto Corruptors, and Cyclones deal about infinity damage to Corruptors just because they're armored. And Cyclones put out so much damage to a single target. It looks like this army of HeroMarine will get cleaned on up and really just trading out. And that's what this mech composition is about for the Terran player. You just trade out versus the Zerg all over the place. Look at this, though. Serral just dropping Nyduses everywhere. Calls in one at the Terran new 5th base. There's one at this location here. There's going to be Lings potentially unloading into the main base of HeroMarine. HeroMarine needs to deal with this Nydus worm right now. 3 Thors pop out. They will execute that Nydus worm just surrounding it. Meanwhile, Cyclones and Hellions coming on in, picking off more of these Nyduses, but Serral, just such a pain, just always calling in these Nyduses. And I mean, we take a look, how many have gone down? 9 have gone down. That's like 450 minerals. That's basically, that's like a Battlecruiser. A little more than the Battlecruiser. So really no cost at all in the grand scheme of things in a game like this. I mean, take into account that Seral's lost 15,000 resources this game, so a fraction of that is due to these Nydus drones. Lings are getting on in towards the third base of HeroMarine, might make him panic a little bit. I mean, it's one of these odd run-bys as the Terran. You're like, wait, I don't actually have a lot to deal with Lings right now. He's got 14 Hellions, but they're out of position, so HeroMarine, he's actually really focused on going for a push right now. He's bringing back a few of his Hellions to try and deal with these Lings, which is a very good call, because Hellions slaughter Lings like it's nothing, so they're going to help clean some of them up. But we are seeing HeroMarine, he's very, very focused on this push, but I don't know if this is going to work out. We take a look, fungal growth going down from Seral, but the Thor is working away on the Broodlords, and there's actually no neural parasite going down on the Thors, which I feel Seral really, really needed to use. Is there even neural parasite research? I'm not sure if there is or not. Yes, there is, but... Oh, look at this. There we go. There's neural getting used on. I mean, I felt like it could have been a little bit earlier for Seral, but still, very nice catch getting those 3 Thors. Gonna have to use another 3, though, because these Thors are now free right underneath the Broodlords. Being able to pick off a few of the Thors trade out okay. But then we take a look at this. HeroMarine's third base has been sacked. Lings unloading in his natural once again. Giving him grief there. Hellions and Cyclones will clean it up, but a nice counterattack from Seral. He defends the main attack, and that looked like it could have been a bit dicey for Seral. The fact that he never used neural parasites on the Thors that were up this ramp was a bit interesting. I felt maybe he could have done that, but who knows? Maybe he knows something I don't. But still, a very good defense regardless from Seral, even if he didn't use the spells right away. We take a look. Nydus Worm getting called into HeroMarine's third. This Ling being a pain. A burrowed Ling is... It's always worth it to burrow a Ling if you're someone like Seral. I mean, they just get so much damage. Wait, how the hell that actually kills the burrowed Ling without a scan them? That's so cool. Meanwhile, HeroMarine coming on in, going for a bit of harassment. Trying to put the pressure onto his opponent. Seral, though, comes on in. Oh, Infestors. A bit of a misstep there from Seral. Oh, gonna lose like 3, 4 Infestors. Looks like most of these Cyclones, if not all of the Cyclones, will go down, but still probably worth it for HeroMarine to get that. Meanwhile, we take a look, the Thors and tanks out on the map. It's important to note what HeroMarine's doing this game. He is all over the place. While Serral is a very hard player to out-tax, that doesn't mean you can just sit, or should just sit back idly. So HeroMarine, he's trying to hit Seral wherever he can. And that's because if you let a Zerg sit back, it's still generally considered a bad idea. Meanwhile, Seral, though not just sitting back himself, constantly harassing his opponent here. We take a look, HeroMarine's like, oh no, not another Nydus Worm in my base right now. 3 Vipers on the way here for Seral. So getting up some of the serious anti-air as he realizes there's Vikings out, the Blinding Clouds, the Ducks, very good. I mean, we gotta give it to HeroMarine though, the fact that he's just keeping this game going, and his army is actually quite good. The army value is higher for Seral, because of the Broodlord Investor, very expensive. And we take a look. HeroMarine going on in and out with his Vikings. This is the concerning thing though. For the Terran, the Mass War Crawler makes it pretty hard for the Vikings to achieve a lot. We take a look at this though. I mean, there's not too much for the Zerg player out there. HeroMarine baiting out a lot of these bundles. Thor walks forward, tanks walk forward, Infestors poking forward. Tanks, they're not going to help out too much versus these Broodlords. I mean, besides doing friendly fire to HeroMarine's own army, the Hellbat Thors might be able to challenge the Broodlord force. So the concern is the Mass Neural Parasite taking the Thors out of the equation. So far, Seral though, just been willing to dump lots of bundles on you, kill off all the Vikings. Now it's really just Broodlords versus Thors. The Infestors though, still in the equation, they can always dump a neural, and 1 neural equals 1 Thor, not in the fight. Seral though has to be wary of the siege tanks that HeroMarine before he just charges into the Infestors. HeroMarine gotta be on point, making sure to focus those down, and HeroMarine actually pushes in enough to pick off that base, and oh, look at this, the Thors coming forward, working away on the Broodlords. A fair few of them have gone down with the neural and here, but the tanks did focus those down. This is such a close engagement right now. Seral though with reinforced approaches, Raptors helping out a bit, but most of his Broodlords are so low on HP, actually escaping just barely. This is so many injured Broodlords for Seral. Like, the fact that they haven't just been picked off by the Thors is very, very good for him. They're still helping out. And I mean, this is actually like 11 Broodlords or something here, so a very significant number. In the end, HeroMarine not able to take that on. A very close fight. Meanwhile, though, I mean, we saw Lings came on in, attacked HeroMarine's third base again. Both players' economy isn't actually fantastic. I mean, Seral's had the income advantage most of the game. But we take a look at his own income now this game, and oh man, these Thors get caught. I mean, it really works for Hellions trying to help him out. not able to make it happen. So that really hurts there for... Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, the Thor does go down. That hurts for HeroMarine, losing those 2 Thors, but he was looking for a base, it would seem. Third base lands once again for HeroMarine. Both players really need to keep their economy going on. It's only, we take a look, it's only like 1,600 and 1,700 minerals a minute for each of these players, and that is not a ton when you're used to someone like Serral usually having a pretty big bank in a late game situation. So HeroMarine really pushing Serral to the brink here this game. We take a look, Broodlord's on the way though once again for Serral. I mean, he's got up a fair few of the Broodlords, pretty good upgrades on them, which is very notable. Makes them deal a ton more damage to Thors with that direct attack and then with the melee on the Broodlings. So HeroMarine, he's got to think of a way to deal with this army so far. I mean, the Thor, Hellion, Viking siege tank seems to be doing him okay, but I don't know if he's able to take on this army again. Meanwhile, in goes a ton of Hellweapon for HeroMarine. This is a lot of resources to commit to this attack, but he's going to try and make it happen. Might try himself a fair few drones, and he's actually getting a very good number there. This is really hurting Serral's economy. 6 drones are going down. I mean, he's Hellweapon. Maybe even he's going to try and get an Infestor. Looks like Serral has to use a few spells there to clean him up. But pretty okay trade there for HeroMarine when we take into account. Serral's only on 54 drones. Doesn't have a ton of bases or anything like that. So both these players really push to the brink this game. Meanwhile, in goes HeroMarine. Once again, more Hellbats charging on it. It's crazy. Going to be looking to fry up a few drones. No, actually transforms. The funny thing is, if he kept a few of those Hellions, or those Hellbats and Hellions, maybe could have caught those drones, which would have been very nice. Either way, he's still crashing on in here. Actually pretty much making Serral abandon this base. Serral just says, yeah, I don't want to be pulled apart too much. He knows that a death sentence for a turtle player is to be pulled apart. So he's cutting his losses there, a very mature decision from Serral. Just saying, like, right, I got this one critical base to the north here. I'll just make sure to keep that safe. And then maybe wants to expand again at some point. But yeah, look at that, moving his Spore Crawlers to this position. Serral's economy, though, it's really hurting. Meanwhile, HeroMarine has secured this base down here. So economy-wise, this game really is going HeroMarine's way. We take a look at the resources lost. I mean, resources lost there. And it's actually surprisingly close, which is generally a good indication for the Terran at this point in the game. Shows that it's been a very, very scrappy game. And HeroMarine, maybe he's able to bring down Serral now. I mean, the army of Serral is still very concerning because of that Broodlord Infestor. It's probably one of the best unit compositions in the game. However, though, I mean, there's always a chance HeroMarine can take a fight, use his better economy to get something done. Serral, though, oh my gosh, not skipping a minute, just 20 SCVs going down like it's nothing. Suddenly he knocks HeroMarine's economy down to 2. We saw 20 SCVs go down, I believe some to a Ling counterattack, maybe 20 to those Banelings that rolled on in there. We're seeing a fight now, though. This is going to be a very important one. The siege tank use from HeroMarine, by the way, I must say, is impeccable. The way that he is just using these tanks, in a sense. Some Terrans, when the Broodlords come on in, they'll just be like, oh, these tanks are useless. No, HeroMarine's using them so well to zone down the Infestors. And to actually dictate the pace of this fight right now. Serral can't just push on in. He's scared to push on in with his Infestors. There we go. See, Tanks picks off a high-energy Infestor. You gotta be careful with your HeroMarine. All of his army this turn, he's got a few doors, so he does decide to back up. Meanwhile, there's this Link counterattack being a pain. This could be the big fight, though, of this game. I mean, a few tanks and doors going down there to the Broodlord. So in the end, Serral's still getting some very good value here. I mean, HeroMarine, he's still got a lot of orbital commands this game, and I do want to point out the amount of orbital commands that HeroMarine has. I mean, it's a very healthy number for someone in his position. 5 orbitals, that gives you quite a bit of mule money. So even though he's on 36 SCVs, his economy, not too terrible, and definitely shows that he... I just want to point out that he's just using, like, orbitals here. It's not planetaries or anything, which is really cool to note. Another base attempt from HeroMarine. This one is going to be worked away on. Probably just wants to lift off that command center. Meanwhile, he's just going to try and, I guess, remax. This is where it's getting a bit concerning for HeroMarine. He doesn't really have anything to take on this army head-on. So what he's been doing the most of this game, which is just hitting Serral all over the place, so far has worked pretty well, but at the end of the day, you do got to deal with the elephant in the room, which is the Broodlord Infestor here for the Zerg player. And Serral is the best player in the world with this composition, there's no doubt about it. His defensive style is just so good. He's and it just allows you to be so reactionary. Like, there's no set way that Terran really deal with this composition. I mean, there's of course methods, and HeroMarine has been using one method to try and hit the Zerg all over. However, I mean, you got to get something else done if you're HeroMarine. He's coming on in, going to be working away in this attempt at a hatchery for Serral. However, this base to the north, if HeroMarine can take this off, that's going to give him a lot more time in order to think about how he's going to deal with this broodlord investor competition. If he doesn't, though, if he's not able to take down Serral's economy any further and Serral really gets it back on track, that's when it just becomes hopeless, because the Zerg has a huge bank. You can trade out inefficiently and maybe kill the army, but the Zerg will just remax. So HeroMarine's position right now, if he can, say, force a very good fight versus the Zerg, and then play it out from there, while the Zerg has a bad economy, he can maybe just get a killing blow in. If the Zerg has the potential just to remax, that's where it becomes concerning. And look at this, Serral knows how critical this economy position for him is. He's moving his spine crawlers up to this base. This fresh base is giving him a much better lease on life in this game. HeroMarine, he was the one who had the economy looking better for longevity. Now Serral's is just looking okay himself. And so Serral's got an on-par economy and a better army. You guys do the math. That's generally pretty good for Serral. And we do have to take a look at this as well. 14 Thors are in the air for HeroMarine. He is going hard on these Thors. And I mean, Thors are very, very good versus Broodlords, but generally in larger and larger amounts, it does favor the Broodlords. There's no way that the Terran can just make Thors to pick off a huge amount of broods, and so you need something else if you're a HeroMarine. And usually it's always a balancing act, but because it's like, okay, my opponent made a ton of Broodlords, that means he doesn't have supply for anti-air. So we take a look, Serral only has 5 Corruptors, 9 Infestors in this army as his anti-air, so maybe HeroMarine can do something for that, but we see he's kind of backed into a corner in which he's got these Thors. The Thors, I mean, I don't know if they can take on these Broodlords, because getting all 16 of his Thors to fight efficiently versus this Zerg army is going to be nigh impossible. HeroMarine, if he takes a fight, he's going to have to get a very good angle here. I mean, if we zoom out a little bit more, maybe HeroMarine can come in from the side and fight here, and it looks like that might be what he's thinking. The Broodling's already on the ground tying up these Thors. HeroMarine's looking to move on in, but there's Infestors and Spore Crawlers ready to zone out the Terran player. Serral, while this is going on as well, just re-expanding, getting his economy back on track to a fantastic degree. Look at this, double hatcheries on that production tab there. And then we see HeroMarine, he's just backed into a corner. He knows he needs to take a fight, but then he knows he can't take a fight. Neural Parasites going down for Serral, icing on top of the cake here in the fight. HeroMarine, his Thors, it's very tough to get him to fight efficiently versus the Broodlords. He needs to target down the Broods, but there's just so many. The Vikings doing what they can. Let's take a look at the unit count. It's still 15 Broodlords in the sky, 14 Broodlords in the sky, but the Thors are falling faster. And I think Serral is going to have been able to do it. He's just got such an army here. Once again, there's a lot of red Broodlords. The Thors haven't been able to pop them off just yet. Serral, though, I mean, he's not pursuing further into this. He knows that engaging into the Thors generally costs a Broodlord or two, but oh yeah, he's stepping forward. He's thinking about it. And once again, that looks like it was a pretty darn good fight for Serral. The resources lost, not going HeroMarine's way anymore. And the fact that these bases are getting online for Serral just could just be the end for HeroMarine. I mean, if Serral had no economy, maybe HeroMarine could justify a bad fight like this, but he simply can't. If he, say, had Liberators harassing these bases, or even knew about them, as a matter of fact, but he's just so tunnel-visioned on these bases. Now he's thinking of harassing, because he knows that he definitely can't fight this army anymore. But Serral, I mean, he's done a very good job defending versus this, with these bases getting online. It really spells disaster here for HeroMarine in this game number 1 of this best of 5. Man, I feel like this has been 28 minutes of me non-stop talking in this TVZ. HeroMarine, I mean, he's had some good opportunities. He almost killed Serral before, but Serral's got his economy back online. He's maxed out again. HeroMarine is not. Serral's income is gonna be better in the long run here. I mean, he's just got these 2-3 fresh bases. HeroMarine, I mean, he's got mule money and he's still going, but you really need to shut down the Zerg economy if you're the Terran, so you can justify these kind of bad trades. That's the nature of the matchup at this point. HeroMarine is looking to move forward with his Thors, maybe trying to catch Serral off guard, but look at that, he's retreating with Thors, and Thors are not units that retreat very well. They're too big, they're too slow, and look at this, Serral just getting fantastic value with his Brutes. The Thors trying to focus them down, but every volley of Broodlings that goes down is a dead Thor here, and look at that, just another volley. Those Broodlings deal so much damage to the Thors there. The direct attack of the Broodlords is just so so critical. And this is just not working out for HeroMarine. He's making more and more Thors. He's currently lost 36 Thors. I don't think I've seen a game which there's been 36 Thors made in a long time. But yeah, look at that. They're just going down like they're nothing. The Thor is not standing a chance versus these +3 Broodlords. And I want to say the +3 is so critical. The Broodlords, they just tickle the Thors without significant upgrades, but the fact that Serral's on par on upgrades with his opponent really shows how it works out in the late game when you're a Terran. This is why HeroMarine tried to make an attack earlier before Serral, because he knows that they're both playing just with maxed out armies like this, it's not going to work out. I mean, maybe this push is going to work. It's going to be close, but no, in the end, the Thors are just going down. And there's just been so much value of lost Thors here for HeroMarine. His supply is dropping. There's the GG. Serral takes game number 1, but he had to fight for it, man. I mean, 30 minutes of a crazy ZvT here. And that was just game number 1 in this best of 5. Oh, man, what did I sign up to cast for here? I don't know what I signed up to cast for here, as like it's a little bit concerning right now. I'm like, oh man, this could be a long one here. I don't mind though. It's going to be an epic best of 5. While I'm logging on in to watch the next replay, ladies and gentlemen, though, if you enjoyed that awesome 30-minute mech versus Serral game, press that like button. It's a Serral game. We should be able to break the 20 like mark. Easy peasy, so make sure to hit that like button. And we are now loading on into the next game. It's going to be on Ephemeron here. And we'll see what's HeroMarine going to be able to do. What does he do, right? Like, I felt like that game definitely could have gone his way for a time, but I mean, I mentioned it before it happened. Once Serral got his economy back online, he didn't have a care in the world. Both players were sort of bloodied and bruised, but then Serral, I mean, he got back on his feet, right? With his economy getting back online, HeroMarine's harassment was too little, too late. And I guess maybe he didn't know the extent of Serral's weak economy. Like, Starcraft 2 economies work in a funny way, in which if your economy really has points which it's like run away like a snowball in a sense. Like, if you're, say, 60, 70 drones, you can absorb a certain amount of damage. You can produce at a certain rate. Say you lose like 5 drones, no problem, you replace them. You lose, say, 20, 30 drones, it's so hard to get back to that spot because you can't replace your army quick enough to defend it. Then you can't get your focus on getting your economy back online as easy. It really cuts down into your freedom to play the game. And that's why if HeroMarine was able to keep the pressure on Serral there, he maybe would have been able to take that game. If he had shut down his economy once again, he would have had the better economy, and Serral had the slow Broodlord, so HeroMarine definitely could have gone and harassed out. Say he made like a round of Hellions and Cyclones, he could have harassed those northern bases. HeroMarine, I mean, I'm thinking a lot about that last game. This guy can't be, though, because, I mean, you can't be like, oh man, I almost beat Serral there. Yeah, a lot of people have taken a shot at Serral before. So you just got to think about, I'm going to beat Serral this game, and maybe he can do it. Maybe HeroMarine can win. If you're enjoying this commentary up to this point, already 30 minutes into this best of 3, and we're just in this best of 5, pardon me, and we're just in game number 2, make sure to press that like button, and if you're new to the channel, press that subscribe button. On my YouTube channel, I put up commentaries like this quite a bit, my own events and such that I organize with, say, with Afrika TV or show matches, things like that. Random commentaries here and there, and then even like the odd clip of gameplay. Like, I put up a match versus a Villo the other day, which is just insane that I'm able to make this YouTube thing so frequently here. I mean, my content production certainly waxes and wanes, but we're making it right now quite a bit. So feel free to check me out and whatnot everywhere. I made a new Discord as well, and you guys might be like, why are you just talking about yourself and not the game? That's because it's a normal opening so far from both these players. Keep in mind that last game opened with a crazy Battlecruiser rush. HeroMarine didn't try and tech into mass species or anything after that. And I mean, maybe he could have versus a lesser Zerg or something like that, but versus Serral, like, he'll sniff out what you're doing a million miles away and you won't be able to catch him off guard with a crazy air transition or something like that. We take a look here. HeroMarine just getting his orbital online. The Reaper sharking about. Reaper bounces that queen just a little bit BM there. Drives by, tosses the queen. Just sends her butt flying. Serral getting his creep online. He's a creepin'. What does HeroMarine do this game? I mean, the BC Rush is a very good build. And if you're a good Terran player, you should pretty much never lose a Battlecruiser early on. What do we see this game, though? Is it like a Medivac? No, it's a Fusion Core. That a guy, Big Gabe. Going for the Fusion Core once again. May I note, in a very odd position. Like, very, very odd. I mean, an Overlord could just come in and spot it. If an Overlord's hanging out here, it's spotted. Just build it in the wall next time. Ling runs on in. Spots the Fusion Core, though. Wasn't really hidden. HeroMarine's like, whatever, you're Serral. You'll just scout it anyway, but maybe this game, Serral, now that he's scouted that, might not go for like a pneumatized carapace or anything like that. So something to keep in mind. Meanwhile here, Fusion Core on the way. Viking moving up across the map, just looking for an Overlord. Serral didn't send one to the north there though, as Ling got all the information he needed really. Viking looking for an Overlord to the south though. Will he find this Overlord? This Overlord's shaking right now. Oh, absolutely shaking. He's gonna transform though. Always call Overlords he, by the way. But I guess Zerg doesn't really have a gender. But then I remember at some point some guy was like, no, in Spanish Starcraft, because Spanish is like words for pronunciations of things or whatever, or contexts, that like the gender of units was actually a thing. It had to be for the language to work, right? Hellions charging in here for HeroMarine. Oh my god, this is actually a lot of damage he's getting up, but I didn't really hype this up too much, but I should have been. 7 drones going down. Hellions get on out. HeroMarine going for one of them YOLO timings, and look at this, he might even get another shot or two off at the third base. Gets another drone, gets another 2, 3 drones extra. That's quite a bit more. Manages to pick off 10 drones for his Hellions. That is definitely worthwhile there for the Terran player. Meanwhile, this Viking finding himself his first Overlord, because this other one turned into an Overseer, but oh, he doesn't even get it. The Queens shoo away this poor, poor, sad, lost Viking. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty okay for HeroMarine. Able to pick off 10 drones is no small amount. Makes you wonder what Serral's going to do, particularly when this BC just teleported across the map and is now going to fly it in. Looks like it's just going to get an Overlord to start things off. We'll see if Serral transfuses. Yes, he does, because he's Serral. HeroMarine just says, nope, I'm going away. Marine's trying to pursue this Overseer. It is going to be mech out of the Terran player this game. The Viking will finally get a kill. I mean, I liked the mech from HeroMarine. He just got himself a nice bit of early game damage versus Serral, which is not something that Terrans get too often. I feel like if HeroMarine's maybe able to keep this going forward, maybe like pressure the 4th base of Serral, which should be starting soon here, I feel. Oh, look at this though. Maybe not. Serral making roaches. 9 queens out. Okay, is he just gonna Nydus Big Gabe? Is Serral just gonna Nydus the heck out of this Terran? We see a Nydus network building. I mean, there's gonna be BCs to help defend. There's Cyclones on the way. Tanks out. I mean, I feel like this is quite a few units for HeroMarine to defend, but I don't think he expects a Nydus like this. I mean, I've gone for BC rushes, and sometimes I die to Nydus too, so I'm sweating a little bit for HeroMarine. We'll see. He does have a teleport on this BC, though. If he can just shut down the Nydus for him, that would be huge. The Viking and Cyclones are here. That's the vision for the Zerg. I mean, the Roaches and Ravagers are moving towards the front. The Nydus does get called on in. HeroMarine's working away on that, though. That should get cleaned up. And if he can shut down all the Visioners, shut down the Nyduses as they go, but oh, look at that. Another one gets called on in. HeroMarine teleports his BC back home, though. 2 BCs now. Tank getting set on up on the high ground. A lot of SUVs are going to be dying here for HeroMarine. He needs to save those ones with his natural. I mean, get those guys inside. Siege up those tanks too, HeroMarine. I mean, there's a chance that he can just hold on. All he has to do is shuffle his tanks around correctly. He's got SCVs to repair the BC's grenades. Roach is trying to go up the ramp, but there's 3 tanks here, so it's a bit tough for Serral to push in. The BC's tanking for days. A Banshee is now even out for the Terran, but look at this. The BC's getting repaired non-stop, are making work happen, and Serral might just be getting pushed back here. I mean, the BC's also have Yamato now, too, so it would be good to see HeroMarine dump some of those. Oh, look at that for Serral, though. Such a god. Goes into the Nydus network. I feel like maybe HeroMarine should just Yamato the Nydus, and then Serral will just call in another one. It's tough to say. HeroMarine is taking a lot of damage here this game. He's still on 47 workers to 54, so not actually a bad spot here for the Terran. I mean, it looked pretty bad. But, oh yeah, he is getting forced off his third base, which definitely hurts. But, I mean, he has kind of held in a sense. He's re-securing his natural. Serral didn't go for a 4th base until now. And HeroMarine, he may be able to push this third away. I mean, the BC's, they're trying to wait for a little bit. Try and bait them into the siege tanks is their main focus right now. The Cyclones will help the Queen's very, very bruised on up here. Looks like Serral may try and make something else happen, morphing 3 Ravagers. I think he's just going to try and close the ball down a tank or 2. Cyclones coming in, though they are going to bully this third market away. The BC is working away on this. Let's get Serral being just spreading creep at this base here. Look, very nicely done, though, by HeroMarine. I mean, he holds on, and I think he did what he needed to do. I love the fact that he threw up a 4th base right away. He's got his production online. I mean, Serral's at 64 drones, but he doesn't have a ton of tech or anything like that. He got up a Spire, yes, but no Corruptors out or anything like that. And now HeroMarine, he's held. He can start going into what he wants to. He's getting up his extra factories, probably dropping a ton of mules as soon as he can. Yeah, you always want to be muling after pressure like that. So, pretty good hold from HeroMarine, dare I say. It was bold for Serral to try that Nydus. Maybe now that the Terran can counter push, if he can keep the pressure on Serral, it'll be good for HeroMarine and make something happen, perhaps. Otherwise, Serral may just macro up and reach that scary Zerg stage, just a little bit delayed. So HeroMarine probably wants to do something, have some overarching plan, maybe like a tank push, something like that before Serral really catches up. It's tough to say. The BC's moving on in here for the Terran player, though. Maybe just dump the Yamato cannon or 2 on a Queen. HeroMarine, where's them Yamatos? There they go. There's no Nydus staying between this time. Meanwhile, the BC's just going to fly over. Maybe try and target down another Queen. One of them goes down. The BC's moving forward, trying to grab a few drones. HeroMarine realizing how important it is to keep the pressure on the Zerg right now. Maybe a Hellion run-by or something getting queued up would be huge, but oh man, look at this. Serral is so good at this game. A Nydus network being called on in. Meanwhile, the Nydus is the natural HeroMarine, so he's already got one in the natural. And then we take a look in the main. That's going to have a Nydus popping out. 4 units probably going to be unloading there soon. Yeah, Serral just going to be able to do the whack-a-mole here thing that Zerg does best with these Nyduses. It's just instantaneous, the load and unload. It's insane here. I wouldn't be surprised if he even wants like a Nydus at the third. So that's some very nice damage from Serral. Using tools that he already had to get more damage done. And HeroMarine not able to shut those down or anything like that just yet. I think Terrans are going to have to get more and more wary of Zergs, like making sure that you have a siege tank near where a Zerg would call in a Nydus. Something like that. We may have to see the game develop a little bit here. There is a 4th base out for HeroMarine. He probably wants to secure that pretty soon. But it is a little bit concerning here for our Terran hope. I mean, 80 drones for a Zerg generally spells an uh-oh for the Terran, unless the Zerg is going to be getting immediately pressured. But HeroMarine, the fact that he himself was dealing with a Nydus, he hasn't really been able to build up to some overarching plan. He's making Hellions and Cyclones versus a Zerg who's going to be maxed out pretty soon, who's getting up, say, a Baneling Nest, a Greater Spire. He's going to be able to just invest in more and more tech, more and more hatcheries. Kind of be the runaway train effect for the Zerg player. I mean, Yamato's pick off a Corruptor or 2, which is nice. You gotta always be getting that value as HeroMarine, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, meanwhile, another Nydus getting called in. Oh no, HeroMarine, please. Please make something happen. Right now, he's busy trying to micro on the front. Little does he know, there's a party about to be in the back here. Roach is going to start spilling on out here. The armory is completely exposed right now. They're not even upgrading right now. HeroMarine hasn't been thinking about upgrades, but he is going to be losing one of his armies. Potentially a second. The Battlecruiser is coming on in. Serral's like, wait a second, why did I leave? I'll just nab a few SUVs, then get out of here. So nicely done there from the Zerg player. One of the armories stays alive, which is nice for HeroMarine. But right now we take a look, and I mean, he's making Hellion Cyclone still. There's Broodlords about to be out. In no universe does Hellion Cyclone beat Broodlords, unless the Zerg, like, move commands or something, or has absolutely no buffer for the Broodlords. I mean, HeroMarine, he's gonna move out. Maybe wants to go for an attack. I don't know if his internal clock's off, but it is Broodlord o'clock, and you can't push on into a Zerg with Broodlords. HeroMarine just scan this, he's gonna be like, oh, never mind then. Gonna back on out a little bit. He's like, I got tanks, those aren't gonna do it. Hellions, nope. Cyclones, they can try, but it's not gonna happen to try and take down some Broodlords. So if you're HeroMarine right now, he's doing the desperate Terran thing, which you throw up 2 starports, you're like, I guess I'll start making Vikings, and it's just not gonna happen. I mean, the Zerg has pushed across the map with the Broodlords already. I mean, the Zerg has a good economy behind this, so even if he does take like an okay trade out, the Zerg's just gonna be a monster with more behind it. And HeroMarine, he's got to start trying to build Vikings or something. He's making Thors as well, but it's just too late. He really didn't expect it. We're seeing an attempt at multi-pronged counterattack coming out of the Terran. This is when you know a Terran's desperate, when they're YOLOing their Battlecruisers into the Zerg base. Hellions and Cyclones are pushing to the north, which is getting some damage done. This is the one thing that Hellion Cyclones are good at. So HeroMarine is desperately trying to buy time while he can build up an anti-Broodlord army, and we really got to give it to him for making that play, for pulling Serral back. The Broodlord's out of position here. And, I mean, Serral was pretty much on the door of the Terran, maybe ready to make a push. Instead, he gets pushed back. HeroMarine, he's now making 4 Vikings at a time. He just turned out a pretty decent round of Thors, too. Or no, wait, he canceled the Thors he was building. HeroMarine deciding not to go the Thor route, just saying, nope, it's not going to happen. So just Vikings and Cyclones, a darn interesting composition here. Oh, by the way, beautiful Cyclone positioning from HeroMarine to pick off that Overlord, that Overseer. He does need to kill the Nydus, though. Okay, he's going to get that. We take a look, though. Serral, once again, looking to push on in towards the Terran base right now. Broodlords marching towards the 4th base. HeroMarine could be in a bit of a tough spot right now. He's sending out the desperate counterattack right now. He's like, nope, can't deal with that army head on. Gonna try and make something happen now. This is a bit of a secret Viking force that HeroMarine's trying to build up, but I don't know if he's got time. I mean, he's built up 4, but he needs more. He needs enough to deal with the Corruptors and then to kill the Broodlords, and this is just not enough. 4 Vikings are just gonna be like, oh, we're here to die, basically. And they're retreating from the Corruptors. The Cyclones can cover versus the Corruptors, but HeroMarine will need fantastic micro here. Maybe there's a chance, though. Maybe he's onto something. Maybe he gets his Cyclones underneath the Corruptors, just locks on. Then he can pick them off, but I feel like it needs to be a go-go-go kind of timing. Look at this, though. Fantastic lock-ons from the Cyclones. They're locking onto all the Corruptors. Serral just overstepped, losing most of his Corruptors there. And suddenly the Vikings may be able to push these Broodlords back, and he can kill the Broodlords. That's a start. Although the damage really has been done to HeroMarine. I mean, he lost his 3rd base command center, he lost his 4th base, and he wasn't that Terran with the sort of god tier economy that can take that kind of damage. The Cyclones now engaging in the lanes, they're doing okay. The Vikings working away the Broodlords. And so in the end, I mean, HeroMarine does make it happen, but oh, he might even be about to lose his 3rd command center, and a Terran on 2 CCs versus a Zerg on this many bases is absolutely all in. Serral knows this. He's like, right, I just got to get ready for this pack. Banelings are morphing. There's already Banelings out. These Cyclones are going to need some good micro here from the Terran, and HeroMarine is on creep. He's retreating, but I don't think it's going to happen. Serral is going to be able to take down HeroMarine. You got to give it to HeroMarine. The efforts are A+, but so far, nothing is sticking versus this Zerg, and GG gets called as Serral takes match number 2 in this best of 5. And this looks real rough for HeroMarine. I mean, Serral, he's just so good. Like, for the first time ever, we have a StarCraft 2 player who is so good, it's frustrating to be a fan of him because he makes the tournaments boring, because he just destroys everyone. And I mean, HeroMarine, maybe he can take the next map. Maybe he can show that he's able to take down Serral, because as far as players come close to beating Serral in like a straight up game by out-taxing them, HeroMarine's giving it his all. He's trying to just play this robust mech style, but it's just too much from the Zerg. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the past 2 matches, press that like button. Man, my voice is dying. Gonna have a drink here before we really get into the next game. Yeah, press that like button though. And I mean, if you're new to the channel, you're enjoying this sort of commentary, you're like, huh, good Starcraft players. So you search Serral on YouTube, you found this video, press that subscribe button, maybe even that bell icon to get notifications, as I put up commentary like this quite a bit. And I think if you're a StarCraft 2 fan, new or old, you should enjoy the channel. And yeah. Let's get into this game here. Spawning in the bottom right-hand side of the map. He's given us great games, but it's just not happened. It's HeroMarine. And up in the top left-hand side of the map, it is Serral. He pretty much needs no introduction. Oh, he wants to make this one a quickie. He's like, alright, I won the past two. No big deal. I want to beat you quick, guy. So he's going for a spawning pool first to try and catch HeroMarine off guard. A little bit of a dirty play. But such a terrifying play that Serral is able to go for that. Yeah, such a terrifying play. Like, you've got the best Zerg in the world at macro. He's the best at holding cheeses. But then he's also willing to dish them out. Queen on the way. Lings crossing the map here for Serral. Gonna try and catch HeroMarine off guard. We'll see if HeroMarine's willing to do a scout. Or willing to... Well, he didn't go for an SCV scout. Can't blame him on Winter's Gate. It's a pain to navigate those SCVs through those slow zones. But he is going for a Marine behind this. And with a Marine and good micro with like an SCV pull, you're generally in a pretty good spot as the Terran in order to hold this kind of rush. Sometimes we see players with incredible micro do it and just shut down the Lings. I mean, it is only 4 Lings. Serral actually backs off with his Lings too. He's like, oh, whatever. Reaper goes on in for HeroMarine. Gonna be looking for a drone. Serral immediately pulls the drone. Quick reaction there. All the while he's sending on in his Lings. Both these players just trying to focus on too much. Now, SCV running away. HeroMarine actually made 2 Marines here in order to shut down these Lings. So that's all it takes. Keeps the SCV alive. So good defense there. Quite a nice opening for the Terran. Of course, it's very minimal, the loss that the Zerg takes going for an early pool, because it's not like Serral made a bajillion Lings or anything like that. No, he made 4. And now he's got speed out as well, which is kind of nice. 1 Hellion out as well. Probably going to go into more Hellion production if you're HeroMarine. And it looks like this game, he's really going to be changing it up. HeroMarine, he's going for Hellions. But then he's also going for a Tech Lab. Probably going to be reserved for his Starport if I had to take a guess. We'll see if he makes a Viking or something, or is just going to wait for that Tech Lab. Viking on the way there. What's this Tech Lab going to be for? That's the real question. I mean, maybe HeroMarine, he's going to bring out something crazy this game. He's like, alright, let's do it. Marine's trying to shut down this Overlord. Stim is actually on the way for HeroMarine. Okay. You gotta give it to him. He's saying he's gonna play Bio versus this Zerg, which is kinda... You gotta give it to him. Bio versus Serral is so tough because Bio really... I mean, most Terran styles really relies on getting damage done, but Bio, you absolutely cannot sit back with. Mech, you can maybe a little bit. Bio, no, you need to get something done. Viking not able to shut down the Overlord, so Serral does get a scout off on that stim pack. Meanwhile, Command Center on the way for HeroMarine in his wall. Gotta pay attention to this. Is this a solid wall? Can Lings sneak through there? I'm gonna go ahead and say they can't. I had a situation which I thought I had a wall the other day, and the Lings all got in. So so I gotta look into that, and it was because of the Command Center. Alright, now in goes HeroMarine, thinking of going for a YOLO Hellion dive again, not working out. I'm also losing caster points for using that word so much in my commentaries, but it works for describing just diving on in with the Hellions, going for a suicide run. Big risk, big reward sometimes. HeroMarine, oh, does he toss? Okay, there we go, nicely done. Using his Hellion to take a shot there. Just wanted to be quick too. Could have used the Reaper and that Reaper would have regen for free, but of course these players are playing like a million miles an hour. You're not necessarily concerned about one shot on a Hellion. Serral defending his third for now. Just gonna be macroing up, getting up his lair. 1-1 on the way for HeroMarine. We'll see if Serral starts his pretty soon. He's already getting the Baneling speed, which is good to see, ensuring that he should have it ready by the time any push rolls up. HeroMarine powering up, 3 base, 5 racks. Gonna be playing like a macro Terran, and maybe he can make it work versus Serral. It's gonna be darn tough, but maybe he can make it happen. Ling's working away on these rocks. Very useful for killing off tanks. Or very useful for preventing tank push, killing off these rocks. As Terran sometimes might move in, siege the tanks up or something like that. Then you have to engage through a slow zone, which is just not going to work out. HeroMarine, though, moving out on the map. Maybe he's got Medivacs about to pop out, and yes, he does. So he's going to have those. He's going to have some Marines and tanks. Going to be looking to go for a bit of a push on Serral. And maybe Serral's not prepared for this right now. I mean, HeroMarine should have 1-1 for this small attack, or may have won. It'll be tough to say whether he does have 1-1. Either way, this attack has potential here. He's going to be pushing on in. He's got tanks. He's rolling on up, getting them set up on the high ground. I mean, it's a bit of a distance towards the 4th base of this Zerg, but he's going to be going for it. He's got Medivacs to move on in. He's going to try and bait the Zerg into a bad engagement. Marines are fighting back versus the Banelings. A lot of room to split, though. Is it enough, though, in time? And, oh, I think Serral's actually just going to clean this up here. I mean, you can probably save one of those tanks, but nope, abandoning that tank. Medivac probably could have, if he started unsieging that right away, he probably could have saved it. But once again, a great defense for Serral, showing that he is a hard player to touch. I'm not sure if here. Hold on. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I don't usually just rewind right away, but I do want to point out that this fight happened right before HeroMarine had 1-1 on his units. That would have made a world of difference. I was just double checking, but we saw that it was just finishing up right as the fight ended. So that really hurt HeroMarine. If we had redone that fight, would have gone a lot better for the Terran, I feel. HeroMarine, though, he is making a ton of Marines at a time. Probably going to continue on with tank production if I had to guess. Or is he just going to go into straight up Widow Mine? He's getting a reactor on this factory. A tech lab on the other. It could just be a Marine mine going up versus this Zerg. I mean, it's a very risky style, but even Serral has trouble dealing with a absolute ton of Widow Mines, and Terran hitting all over with Marines. So HeroMarine is moving on in now, going to start focusing, working down a queen or two. Shutting down creep spread is something absolutely critical to do. I mean, Serral, he's also very good at defending his own, though, so Banelings and Queens not going to let that creep spread be denied too long. And on Winter's Gate, it seems that creep crosses the map pretty darn quickly. So all of a sudden, we're going to be seeing the creep at the halfway mark. HeroMarine's trying his best to halt it, and so far he's doing just that. But this is going to be this is going to be tough for HeroMarine to make something happen versus Serral with Bio. I feel. I mean, you can always drop on over, but out of the Zergs who aren't going to fall apart to Bio multi-prong harassment, I feel like it's probably Serral at the top of the list. So we take a look at this, and oh my gosh, this creep, it's so close already. HeroMarine, I mean, moving on in, probably wants to scan and try and clean up this creep. There we go. Now going to get to work on it, but Serral, he's already on point to move into defend it. The Marines are going to split out versus the base to try and be as efficient as possible. But still, Serral just doing a good job. I mean, yeah, he trades on out a little bit. Probably it was an okay trade, and then he defends his creep just right away. So his creep spread isn't being pushed back by HeroMarine at all. It's being halted, yes, but pushed back, no. And that is something that's very important for the Zerg HeroMarine. He's just not able to make anything happen versus this Z. I mean, like, he's going to get 1 or 2 creep tumors for the scan, and I'm willing to bet Serral's going to plant down a few more once he pushes this army back. And push this army back, I think he will do. as he's got Banes, he's got Queens, he's got Lings. Meanwhile, Serral just out on the map with some Lings and Banes, just taunting HeroMarine, saying, I'm containing you. I'm out there on the map. What are you going to do? I am everywhere. Serral's just water. He's just everywhere. We take a look. 2-2 is finishing up for HeroMarine, so he's going to have those nice upgrades, but this has been a very passive game, everything considered. We're 9 minutes in, and there hasn't been any real major damage done. HeroMarine's powering on up. He's going to get a few of the Queens, which is very nice here. Get those units on out too by loading them up, which is good to see. That he's not making mistakes or anything, but Serral has been allowed to tech on up. He's got to a hive. He's getting chitinous plating, adrenal glands, which are kind of like extra perks for his units. He's going to be able to make ultras. He's going to have much, much better Lings, and then he's probably going to fire up 3-3 pretty soon here, I imagine, because his economy is very good, and he's approaching max out. And when I say very good, we're looking at a Zerg player who's on 90 drones this game. HeroMarine, Titan back with the Marines, gonna have to lift him on out of there. He's doing a very good job, not like losing a medivac full of Marines to a Baneling or anything like that, but at the same time, he's not getting a lot done. Oh man, that Widowmine connection, we're seeing a lot of goop there. That was a doozy. Let's take a look here. HeroMarine, he's going to be pushing on up north. He's got Marines, Marauders charged on up. Lings are engaging, but it's not going to be happening. Meanwhile, an engagement going down on the south side. Widowmine's Serral being cautious with how he engages on in, though. We take a look at this too, and suddenly, HeroMarine, his army gets wiped on this side, and then he's engaging to the north. Dodge Baneling doing an okay job. Okay, looks alright for HeroMarine to the north. Serral wins the southern engagement, so one for each. Meanwhile, HeroMarine going to try and push it in. I feel like he's not going to be able to get too much more done because Serral just has a ton of units streaming across the map from his production. HeroMarine, though, he suddenly re-rallies and he's pushing towards the south. Could get a hatchery here. That would be a very nice find. He's got Widowmine set up to retreat in. Half of the battle of playing BO5 with the mines in the composition is just trying to bait the Zerg into a bad Widowmine hit. I mean, it's very tough to do to Serral, but HeroMarine's going to try his all Serral. Oh, does he just move on in with these Lings? Could he eat a nasty Widowmine shot here? Lings getting baited on in. There's some Widowmines going off, and the connections are huge for HeroMarine. Getting some good value there. Probably just wants to lift up and get on out. And now HeroMarine's still just making his bio. Gonna be pushing on in. Gonna try and bait Serral into a bad engagement, and we're seeing HeroMarine. He's willing to take this game late right now. He's getting up his extra orbital commands, but look at this, Serral once again on cue. Ling counterattack moving on in. HeroMarine, you want to burrow those Widowmines, but they're not going to burrow in time. The Overseer helping them be detected, and once again, Serral getting damage done at one of HeroMarine's bases. The 3-3 isn't going to be picked off, I don't believe, but damage is getting done nonetheless. It seems that no one can make a move versus Serral without taking some sort of damage. Look at this, Serral, he was attacking the wrong eBay there. Look at that, even burrowing Lings in the natural of HeroMarine is just being taxed and pulled apart too, so it's very, very tough to actually just go out of your way to scan these Lings here, and Serral just burrows them, and we'll think about them later on. Now we see HeroMarine gonna have to deal with an attack in his base. The Planetary is doing a good job working on the Lings. The Ultras are trying to crash on them. I mean, there's Marauders around this base. These SCVs are going to have to make sure they repair this Planetary, but Serral is pushing on in, and I don't know if it's going to happen. Widowmine's not in position, not burrowed, because there's a ton of Banelings coming on in, and it looks like the Planetary will go down, so this anchor point for HeroMarine is lost. Looks like he will take this fight, though, but then at the same time, Serral getting some of these Lings into the natural of the Terran player. Just always something is getting done, which is going to hurt as the Terran. And HeroMarine, he's not even thinking about that these Lings are burrowed. He's all over the place. Serral is just pulling him apart. This is just a player who is just out-taxing his opponent. Marines for HeroMarine working away in these Lings. Serral in such a pain. Burrows one of the Zerglings there. Oh my gosh. And then a Nydus at the back of the Terran space. HeroMarine, he's pushing on in. He feels pressure to make something happen, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it happen. He's lost 22 SCVs once again. He's trying to secure his fourth base, but working versus Serral, it's impossible not to take damage. He hits you all over the place. That being said, though, HeroMarine getting a very good push on him right now. The Liberator's helping out a ton, and the high Marauder count really nullifying the Banelings of Serral, so HeroMarine might finally be getting his first bit of serious damage done this game. Defending as well back at home. This one Ling being a pain as well. Oh man, like a fox in a hen house there. But we take a look at this. HeroMarine, he suddenly got a fair bit of damage done to Serral. He loads up in his medivac, so realizing that he's just got to get the heck out of dodge. He's on creep. There's Ultras and Banes out, so he's going to retreat home. He's going to re-rally. And we take a look at the army supply, and it is actually massively in favor for HeroMarine. His production, while his economy was getting hit, his production was not stifled too much. And so we see HeroMarine with a very good amount of bio. And this is the amount of bio which can simply take down this Zerg force. He's fighting back. He's showing us good bio retreating right now. Eats a few Baneling connections. He's just trying to get away from these Ultras right now. He's got a fantastic surround on the Ultras. Look at that, 360 surround there. Picks off the Ultras. He's up on supply by 50 still. Can HeroMarine keep this push going? He's dropping mules to fuel his economy, to fuel his just dash into Serral's base. He's on a clock right now to try and kill the Zerg because he knows Serral's on the much better economy. But look at this, the Terran's moving on in. He's got Liberators set on up. He's got a good Marauder count, so needs to make sure he splits his Marines away from the Baneling. Serral's looking for good connections. The Marauder's doing a very good job absorbing the Banes. And I feel like there's still enough Terran here to take down these last remaining Ultras. Can he do it? HeroMarine, he's picking off this last Ultra. He's got a lot of supply in medivacs though, so the supply might be a little bit deceiving here, but then we take a look. Serral losing more workers. HeroMarine, his base is taking a lot more damage. I think HeroMarine's got to get his reinforcements across the map right now. He's just running with all of his with all of his medivacs in tow with his bio. Ran past that one base, could potentially pick off this one at the bottom right here. Serral, I mean, he's got a few units out on the map. The Widowmine's a nice touch for HeroMarine, though, to defend his bases. And Serral, he's not mining too much. His economy has been knocked down. He's lost so many units, and the army supply still in the lead for HeroMarine. All of his bio, he's got so many medivacs, has pretty much their own personal medic here. 13 Marines, 13 medivacs, 14 Marauders. That's what I like to see, those tanky guys staying alive. And now HeroMarine, he's re-rallied. He's looking to push on in towards Serral's base. Is he going to be able to make the push happen? I think he definitely can do. The supply is double for the Terran. The medivacs might be a little bit deceiving, but believe it or not, they help out a ton. The Banelings are here, though. You got to be careful if you're HeroMarine. He's splitting his bio, though, being very aware of the Banelings, though. Some of his units aren't participating in this fight. He's got to pull his Marines back, and he's doing a great job splitting. Can he deal with what remains for this Zerg? Well, it looks like the bio is focusing down the remaining Ultras. All the Ultras are going down. Serral's coming in with a few reinforcements. Is going to be able to rout HeroMarine. The medivacs, it's time that they do that thing in which they boost away in order to escape these few corruptors here. Now, what does HeroMarine have? He's got a bit more bio coming forward. He's on a mule economy, which can sustain a fair bit of bio production, which can push you through in a scrappy situation like this, and this is how you know it's a scrappy game. Serral making the accidental swarm host, which pretty much every Zerg player does at some point, just due to hotkey positioning. Look at this, though. In comes the Terran player right now. He's got a good chunk of bio still. There's not too many Banelings out. HeroMarine's stimming forward. He's denying more Banelings morphing. The medivacs are just going to heal his army so well. He's got to be careful because there's still a few Banelings out. There's a lot of Lings. Serral's made these to try and deal with the Marauders, but I think this push can work right now. There's not too many Lings left. The Ultra can be targeted down here, and it goes down. The medivac's healing the bio, which is going to remain strong right now, and HeroMarine is continuing this push right now. He's chasing into Serral's base, and Ultra pops, but the bio getting a lot of damage onto it. One Ultra remains, but there's not really too much to buffer and support. HeroMarine needs to kite back, needs to focus down that Ultra. Oh my god, the medivacs, they do have to lift up the units and escape, though. Meanwhile, Serral getting a bit of counter damage done. That being said, though, HeroMarine, he's got mules. He's got mules. Serral, oh, he's got this base here. This could now be under fire, too. HeroMarine, he's looking to push on in. Still got himself a supply lead. The medivac's really helping keep his bio alive, and it looks like this base is going to fall here for Serral. A scan goes down. This means these drones are going to die. Serral wants to try and save these units here, but he's really just got Lings at this point in the game, and HeroMarine, I think he's going to be able to do it. He gets the base, and that's fantastic for him. Meanwhile, he's floating over a command center. Oh, but the scan expired. Not able to land the CC on top of this link. That actually hurts a lot for HeroMarine. Those were 3 mules, which is a big chunk of his economy. You got to redirect those mules, I feel, if you're HeroMarine. Okay, he does that, which is very important. Scan once again goes down for HeroMarine. Wants to keep his economy going. Serral, though, realizes that HeroMarine just has a few units over here, sending some Lings in. Wants to try and deny this base. Losing a few mules is actually a big deal for HeroMarine. That's a huge chunk of his economy. We're seeing a skirmish go down once again. One Widowmine getting connections off, getting a few kills. HeroMarine, I mean, he's got a lot of medivacs still, but that count has fallen. He's got to be careful not to overstim too much in the face of Banelings and Ultras, because that's AoE. HeroMarine's moving forward. This is actually so risky pushing on him like this. He's going to split his 5 with the best of his ability. Focuses down one of the Ultra, but he is eating a few Banelings. Another Ultra's coming forward too. HeroMarine has to load on up once again, gets on out. Serral is now up on supply. Army supply is still in the lead of HeroMarine, though. The economies are in a disastrous state for both players, but HeroMarine has got up to 28 SCVs now. He's making 5 at a time. And if we take a look, HeroMarine's actually on 5 orbitals. He's not been bothering with planetaries, so that mule money is keeping him going. And with HeroMarine securing this base, that's actually huge. And look at this. This is so smart for HeroMarine. Setting up a Liberator around this base. It's going to help clean up the Lings. Serral's at least going to have to pay a tax to kill these SCVs and mules the Liberator. He's got a lot of work to do. Looks like HeroMarine, he's going to try and just save these units here. So good defense there on that base. But he does want to keep pushing into Serral. You don't want the Zerg to stabilize. The reason why this game's been so scrappy, why HeroMarine's been able to push, is because Serral hasn't had a moment to breathe. Neither has the commentator, but that aside, we take a look at this. And oh man, HeroMarine, he's even getting a bunker set up at this base. Serral, his army isn't that much, but he has built up a pretty significant Baneling count here. It is 29 Banelings, and look at this, they are going to crash into this location. The Liberator doing what he can, but the Corruptors pick him off. HeroMarine, he's getting surrounded here by Serral. He's got a good chunk of Marauders, but he's got to retreat. The Banelings hitting the Marauders is going to cost Serral a ton. That's not efficient at all. Marauders dealing with Lings on the left side. Banelings kind of falling on the right side, but it's important to note these 3 Corruptors for Serral have done so much work, and looks like HeroMarine's army is getting crushed. Is Serral able to come back and win this game? It looks like it. HeroMarine losing a good portion of his economy with that command center going down. He's secured another one to this at this location here, though. He's built more bio, but no, HeroMarine actually taps on out. Serral able to take the game in such a scrappy situation, but he does it. GG, he takes the 3-0, and just, oh my god, Serral is disgusting with how good he is at this game. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the 3-0, updating that score for Serral. That was like an hour of non-stop, rapid-paced talking for me, and I really hope that the audio was fine for this commentary. Otherwise, I'm going to be kind of sad. Let's take a look here. Yeah, I think it was probably fine, but I mean, that game, I'm like winded after that. GG once again, Serral. I mean, he took a 3-0, but he had to work for every game there. I'm very glad I watched this series. HeroMarine showing fantastic TVZ, and I think if things go just a little bit differently, if he maybe makes 1 or 2 tweaks or just gets a little bit quicker, he's going to be able to take down Serral, because while those were very close games, every single one of them. And I just want to say thanks so much to everyone for tuning on in. If you enjoyed this commentary, press that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. This has been LaughNgamez.